Hello everybody, welcome to another True Review. I am of course True, your Million G Gamer, and this is a review for Alteric on the Xbox One. It releases on the 30th of March and is going to be priced at £3.99. It's another game published by the publisher Sometimes You, and this one is developed by Goon Swarm. So, Alteric, what is it then? Well, let's have a look at the game description, see what it says. You are alone. Are you lonely? You're lost or stuck? Somewhere, but where? And most importantly, who are you? Today everything has changed. You died, but your soul is still there. It's a piece of light energy trapped in an alien space between two worlds. Alteric, a single-player 2D platformer. Bright, minimalistic graphics, hardcore gameplay with physics, gravity, and logic. That's questionable. Two interconnected parallel worlds, a variety of obstacles and dangerous bosses, atmospheric soundtrack. And it says, according to developers, we tried to develop a game in such a way that the player realized here Thomas meets with Dark Souls. Why is everybody at the moment saying this is a Dark Souls of this is a Dark Souls of spaceships, this is a Dark Souls of platforming, this is a Dark Souls of RPGs? Really? Okay, so what do we have with Alteric then? As you can see in the description there, it makes reference to Thomas. That's the game Thomas Is Not Alone, which is a fantastic minimalistic experience, which was a very good platform, a very good puzzler, where you played as geometric shapes to solve a number of platforming puzzles, and was very, very good. So this obviously tries to take inspiration from it. Now, the game describes itself as having minimal graphics. Well, it does, but the graphics are very bizarre. I immediately said to myself when I first started playing this, why does the background look like a piece of kitchen roll? Because it does, it looks like a piece of dimpled kitchen roll, which changes various colours depending on which world you're in. But anyway, I'm getting off track a little bit. You play as, I presume, Eric, because it doesn't actually ever tell you. Who's a cube? Well, it's a square. It's not a cube because this game's in 2D. It's a square. You can double jump. You can transition worlds, which basically certain platforms or certain obstacles will only be present in a certain plane. Most of the levels it's a green plane and a red plane. And later on in the game you do also get the ability to make a clone of yourself, probably for about the last 5 levels or 4 levels of the game itself. And that's pretty much all you have to do, is just get to the exit, which looks like a kind of wigwam kind of tent. The obstacles faced with you are obviously spikes, because what would a game like this be without spikes? There's rotor blades on swings, rotor blades turning around platforms, there's fireballs spitting cannons that get you as well, and lava and the obvious falls as well, which just, if you touch the boundaries of the screen, you automatically die as well. Oh, and there's laser beams too, which you can manipulate by transitioning the worlds. Now, to start off with, it starts off pretty fine, pretty, non-event, unoffensive kind of game, and you'll rattle through the first 23 levels pretty much, okay. There's no real issue there. Some might take a bit of a repeat playthrough, but no, you should get through them with a bit of basic and platforming skill. But level 24... Now, I've been speaking to various other colleagues who got earlier review codes for this as well, and everybody's talking about level 24. Literally, level 24 will take you as long as the rest of the other 29 levels put together. Level 24 is a thing of evil. Now, the main problem with it is, on the first few levels of the game, it's kind of tutorial, as we get to have nowadays in games. The first few parts of the game explain the controls to you and explain the mechanics, and you get introduced to the checkpoint system. Now, literally, there's about 5 checkpoints in the entire 30 levels of the game. The developer introduces checkpoints as a mechanic and then doesn't actually use them, and most of the time the levels that he does use them in, or the placement of in that level, is so often inappropriate. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I think you go at least a good clear like 10 or so, 12 levels before you actually get the first checkpoint that's outside the tutorial. And some of these maps are quite, challenging and quite difficult to do all in one, fluid motion without hitting anything. Because of course, with a game like this, you hit something, you die, you get walked back straight to the start of the level or a checkpoint if you're lucky to find one. But yeah, this level 24, everybody got stuck in it. Everybody got stuck on it for at least an hour, and the rest of the game takes about an hour in its entirety. Level 24 is absolutely mental. I've probably got some footage on the screen here of it. You literally have to jump over a couple of spike pits, invert gravity using these switches, and do that 3 times while falling to your death on spikes. So you have to hit these switches flush on so you don't go at an angle, because if you go at an angle your cube won't land flush on the next switch and it'll just bobble off and into the spikes. Do that 3 times, dodge a laser beam, jump onto a platform, change the world around so you drop down in between some rotor blades where there's only a very, very thin corridor, and when the hit detection is as wonky as this, that's very hard to do. Then once you've landed, you have to jump over another set of spikes, reverse gravity and do the same thing again, going up a corridor of spikes with basically only one way through it. There's no margin for error. Then you think you would have had a checkpoint by now, but no. But then you have to switch worlds and dodge left and right through a series of rotor blades. Then you have to drop down and use a series of moving horizontal platforms to dodge between a laser beam grid. You then finally get to a checkpoint. When you hit the checkpoint, you then jump over 2 moving platforms whilst dodging a couple of fireball shooters, and the level ends. The checkpoint is right at the end of the level, right before the easiest section of the entire level. And honestly, you will die. The death achievements, if you haven't got them by the time you get to this level, you will have in spades. You will have everything on this level. It's absolutely crazy. It controls bad as well. The controls are very skiddy. If you're, with it being a cube, if you start rotating in the air, you don't land on anything flush, you'll start rotating and then you lose complete control of the cube. And a lot of the deaths seem a little bit unwarranted. You swear you haven't hit something and the game will kill you. So the hit detection, I think, is slightly off there. Every 10 levels at the end of the chapters we get a boss. The boss is basically got 4 nodes in it, 2 available in one world, 2 available in the other, and you have to jump the left, right, up and down, and you have to jump on the nodes to destroy the boss, and that's pretty much it. Unfortunately, the final boss is glitched. If you seemingly kill the boss while it's these rotor blades it fires are actually out from it, the boss won't die, it'll explode, but the level will continue. And then when you restart, the boss, one of the nodes on the boss is indestructible, so you have to completely exit the game. I mean, when I say exit the game, you have to completely exit the game and shut it down, restart, to make the boss tangible again and destructible, and then you've got to do it again in your first go, basically. So that's a bit of a bad thing for the game as well. Graphically, like I say, it's basic. What's to say? It's just geometric shapes on there. Everything's silhouetted. That kills you, apart from the laser beams. There's not an awful lot to say really. Judge it for yourself on the visuals that you can see on the screen, and question why the background is a piece of kitchen roll. The music is okay, I suppose. It does get loop and get annoying on certain occasions, but there is some okay musical tracks there. But nothing again to really write home about. It's the gameplay that entirely lets it down, with the skiddy controls and the deaths that don't feel entirely your fault, and the lack of the checkpoint system being implemented correctly is just absolutely bizarre. Like I say, there's a lack of checkpoints in levels when there needs to be checkpoints, and then when there is a checkpoint, it's placed completely in the wrong place, and the game just punishes the player for things that aren't their fault really. So what am I going to give Alteric then? Well, I didn't enjoy this one at all, unfortunately. It is a cheap title, and if you do like these platforming hell kind of games, you're not really going to be challenged other than level 24 as I mentioned, but I just don't think it's even worth the purchase price at as cheap as it is. So I'm going to give Alteric, unfortunately, a disaster. Thanks for watching, guys. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next review.